Good. Welcome. Good afternoon. Welcome to Empowering Healthcare through Scalable AI for our trusted partners. Today, we're talking about empowering healthcare. And when we apply the power of AI to this mission-critical space, we can impact and change lives. In Microsoft, we believe AI is technology's most important priority, and healthcare its most urgent application. So hopefully today, as partners, we leave you with some new inspiration and ideas to help and to join us on this journey and mission. We're going to talk to you as a partner and talk a bit about the frontier transformation that we see as Microsoft in healthcare. We're talking a bit about our investments on Agentic AI and the platform and our capabilities. And then later on, Feliz will join me on stage to talk about the partner opportunity we see specifically with Dragon Copilot. At the end, we'll also have some room for Q&A, so as you listen to our session, maybe some inspiration. As we look at some of the global healthcare challenges and the urgent challenges that we're seeing worldwide, so the burden of chronic diseases is continuing to rise, where the gap of innovation and implementation is still widening. We see an increased strain on our providers from physicians, nurses, etc., where clinical burnout and staffing shortages are still there so many years after COVID. And lastly, the access to care is still uneven. Again, from a global population perspective, 50% of the global population still lacks access to essential healthcare services. Where we do believe that AI is offering that hope to address these key challenges. But how? We do know that AI is already making a measurable impact across the providers, the payer, and the life sciences organization. And underneath this AI innovation, there's three types of AI that we think are helping making this breakthrough. First, ambient AI, that really a system of listening and observing that can learn from context to reduce the manual impact and decisions and surface the insight that the physicians need. Generative AI that synthesizes new content from data to really help support documentation, summarization, and decision support. The third one is about Agentic AI. And you'll hear yesterday and today, Microsoft talk a lot about Agentic AI, which is agents collaborating with humans to coordinate tasks, reason over systems, and provide decision support. We believe the combination of those three technologies will reshape our healthcare team's work, how they streamline operations, improve the accuracy, and enable a more personalized care. But technology isn't the goal here. What matters is how we apply it with focus, purpose, and impact. At Microsoft, our focus is clear. We're applying AI for the pursuit of better health. We call this mission AI for Better Health, and it guides our work across three key priorities. First, accelerating life-saving breakthroughs. If you look at some of the investments we're making on products and technologies like Microsoft Discovery, that provides a scientific workbench to discover new therapies, connects to a vast amount of data, simulate experiments, and collaborates in new ways that was never possible before. This helps researchers move from hypothesis to breakthroughs in unprecedented speeds and precision. The second pillar here is about transforming the healthcare experience, where we know that patient outcomes depend on early detections and personalized care. AI-powered solutions like Microsoft Dragon Copilot that can ambiently capture and contextualize symptoms and impact. With Microsoft Dragon Copilot, doctors are focused on their patients, not their screens. And the last priority here is about enabling the global health equity, where we are committed to democratize AI. We're committed to global health equity across patients in rural communities to get advanced therapies, remote consultations with specialties and clinical trials, and even tumor boards. For example, rural hospitals play a critical role in care facilities here in the US. And a patient right now has to travel about 20 miles to get access to basic health services. However, inherently in rural hospital is a risk around cybersecurity. Rural hospitals can't invest in all the technology and the foundational work they need. And if you imagine that the average downtime in a cyber attack is 18 days, and 20% of the hospitals that experienced a downtime saw an increase in mortality rates. In 2024, Microsoft launched the cybersecurity program for rural hospitals, where right now, we're lucky that I have 1/3 of the rural hospitals in the US are benefiting from this new program. So we see organizations organizations in healthcare that are beginning to factor in the current AI capabilities into their future strategies. So we see the rise of what we call frontier transformation or frontier organizations. These are organizations that work through a hybrid of teams of humans and AI by default. And over the last year, also in healthcare, we saw kind of 3 patterns arise. First of all, humans with agents assists, where agents help reasoning alongside the clinicians. The second is human with agent teams, where agile goal organizations are pairing people with AI agents. And the last one is human-led and agent-operated, where we can see leaders that have intelligence on tap. Well, we see most teams in healthcare are still in early stages where human supported with AI tools. But we are seeing the movement toward humans, agents with teams. And we see it also in healthcare. So this frontier focus might seem aspirational, but we're committed alongside you, our partners, to help healthcare organizations move this direction. This is because the challenges, as I said earlier, in healthcare are real. We have aging populations, we have clinical burnout and rising complexity, with a widened gap between the demand in healthcare and the work for capacity and capabilities. So our next step as Microsoft, what we're continuing to invest in to support our ambition on AI for better health, is invest in AI infrastructure and data sets across the globe with extensibility frameworks. We build a global intelligence ecosystem of partners and customers with responsibility and trust. And you saw us launch the Microsoft Marketplace, which will be a very critical component in this. And we will lead the shift to an agentic web, where we scale AI solutions from administrative to clinical and complex decision-making. So for you as partners and trusted advisors, it's critical to link our customers around the world and connect to these agentic workflows. That's why we're investing so heavily in our tools and platforms, and to make sure that the entire ecosystem can focus on these customer outcomes. So now let's look at something we call the success framework for that frontier focus. In healthcare, we see 4 patterns arrive. First, how do I enrich the employee experience? How do I empower my healthcare workforce? We talked a bit about the clinical burnout. Secondly, how do I reinvent the patient engagement? Patients want a digital-first experience. How do we enhance the patient experience with more personalized care? Thirdly, how do we reshape processes and business processes in healthcare? unlocking the value of both clinical and operational data. We're scaling safely across your infrastructure. And lastly, how can you bend the curve of innovation? For example, accelerating research and discovery of new drugs and discovery. So with AI transforming across every layer of healthcare, it's clear that becoming frontier is not just about technology, it is about that partnership. So let's talk about how Microsoft empowers the healthcare customers and partners to innovate more responsibly with AI. On the left, you see that success framework. On the right, you see the investments we're making. I want to call out specific focus on engineering and research for healthcare. Our focus on responsible AI and responsible AI practices in our own products, but also enable our customers in healthcare to adopt responsible AI practices. Of course, the focus on our partner ecosystem and security, privacy, and compliance. So as I said, if you look at these specific investments we're making in healthcare, of course, starting with our first-party solutions like Dragon Copilot and PowerScribe1, where Dragon Copilot focus on the clinical side, on the care team, and PowerScribe1 being the leading solution for radiologists. We talk about the healthcare agent service that we put into GA about a month ago at Health here in the US that enables customers to and partners to take some of the innovations that we're building for Dragon Copilot into Copilot Studio so you can build your own custom agents with the same healthcare safeguards. Of course, the healthcare AI models in Microsoft Foundry. Yesterday, we announced a GA of 2 new specialized AI models in AI Foundry for example, chest X-ray, which is the leading, one of the leading best-in-class AI models for chest X-ray, available in Foundry for our partners and customers to use and leverage. And of course, the healthcare data solutions in Microsoft Fabric to making sure you can manage your healthcare data securely inside of Microsoft Fabric. So whether you start with the first-party solutions like Dragon Copilot or PowerScribe, or utilize Foundry, Fabric, or M365 Copilot, our goal is simple. Help you as a partner move fast and solve real-world challenges in healthcare. Now let's look at some of the examples. Again, against the success frameworks. Customers have been being on the leading edge of driving their breakthroughs. For example, Stanford Medicine here in AMC here in California is a leading cancer research institute. They organize something on a regular basis called the tumor board. Anybody know what a tumor board is? One person. A tumor board is when all the clinical specialties coming together to discuss all the critical cases and come up with the right therapies. And since COVID, most of these tumor board meetings, and if you're diagnosed in a patient, it's one of the critical meetings to make sure your case is handled with, because you have all the specialties there. But since COVID, all those meetings happens in teams. So what Stanford did, they took something we call the multi-agents orchestrator, some technology we've built in Microsoft Foundry, and build a multi-agent approach to help accelerate and improve the diagnosis in the tumor board, and making sure we have the right information, the patient information, the imaging information, et cetera, right there through an agentic framework in Teams, and make sure we provide the tumor board provide the right follow-up actions and diagnosis and follow-up actions. This makes improve the capacity, the number of cases they can handle. It will provide access also to institutions that might not have the same advanced specialties. And since this week, we also see customers in Europe, like Oxford, the Oxford Medical Center, adopting this same technology. The other example here is Amgen. Amgen, a leading biotech company that focuses on developing innovating medicines. And through that drug development, they find struggles to go through their thousands and thousands of sources, internal sources, that they need to create the need and reason over in their R&D processes. So they themselves, with the help of Foundry and Azure OpenAI, they built the Catalyst Copilot using Copilot Studio and Foundry to really advance that and improve, and drastically improve that drug discovery. So over the past few months, we've seen customers experimenting. You might have seen the same. A lot of customers are doing these test cases. But how do you then get to production? That remains a challenge, going from experimentation to production in AI, and certainly in healthcare. Often we found that delivery is the missing pieces. But it starts often with where to focus the opportunity of hospital if you can just have a starting point. So what we've done, together with analysts and customers, we got together and published a library of top AI use cases in healthcare from provider, payer, pharma, and medtech. This goes from the transforming the clinical workflow to bend that innovation curve that I just talked about by accelerating drug discovery for clinical trials. So while some organizations will do this in-house, a lot of organizations are looking for help from our partners, from you, to help advance from discovery, where to start with this library, experimentation, to production. So they might build themselves, and if you're an SI, there's an opportunity to deliver expertise, or they buy ready-to-use use cases. And we see that our agent library on the Microsoft Marketplace will play an increasing role in this. But we also know that AI delivery and impact delivery in healthcare is critical, but it doesn't move the needle if we can't really innovate in the point of care when the patient meets the doctor. So that's why I'm very excited. We're very excited with a product called Microsoft Dragon Copilot. I want to run a quick video demo to give you an impression of what Dragon Copilot is.
For over 2 decades, Dragon has been the trusted name in medical speech recognition, empowering healthcare professionals around the world with industry-leading voice and AI capabilities. This continues with Microsoft Dragon Copilot, your AI assistant for clinical workflow. Part of Microsoft for Healthcare, it's an extensible workspace that brings together natural language and ambient speech capabilities with fine-tuned generative AI and provides a consistent experience, whether mobile, web, desktop, or through leading EHRs. With a modern architecture, enhanced security, and healthcare-specific safeguards, it's anchored in Microsoft's approach to trustworthy AI. Dragon is accessible across specialties and care settings and transforms the way clinicians work. And it all begins by streamlining documentation with new levels of customization, from ambient note creation and natural language dictation to custom texts, templates, and AI prompts. Copilot gives you control over how documentation gets done. It also lets you surface information without leaving your workflow, from querying notes and getting medical information to receiving encounter recording suggestions. Copilot gives you access to pertinent information when you need it most. And with an integration to Microsoft Fabric, healthcare organizations can unlock insights at scale by tapping into point-of-care data. Beyond that, it lets you automate tasks with a single click, from summarizing evidence to prepping orders, drafting referral letters, and after-visit summaries. Copilot saves time. Dragon Copilot takes clinical productivity to new heights so you can do more to promote clinician well-being, increase operational efficiency, improve the patient experience, and drive meaningful financial impact. Do more with Dragon.
So that was a short impression of Microsoft Dragon Copilot, which we launched earlier this year in the US and Canada and continue to expand in international markets like Germany, France, Austria, the Netherlands, Belgium, and the UK. Since then, what you'll see us doing is to continue to innovate in the roadmap of Dragon Copilot. We continue to include contextual insights, so with validated medical sources. Continue to expand that, and some of the things we announced at HLTH a few weeks back. We also announced extension to nursing. Nursing is one of the critical personas in healthcare that never got the help they needed from AI. How do you make even bedside nursing? How do you improve those workflows and processes? And lastly, we also announced the ability for partners and third parties to extend Dragon Copilot and provide third-party plugins and extensions and agents to improve the value proposition and get access to that point of care, which is very hard to do as an ISV or software developer. So with that, I'm excited to get on stage here, Feliz, to go deeper into the partner value proposition for Dragon Copilot. Feliz.
Thank you, Kees. It's great to join you here today to talk about this really exciting opportunity that we have for our partners. As we look ahead to the future, it's really clear that our partners are at the forefront of healthcare's AI transformation. And in this next section, we'll start to explore how Microsoft and our partners are accelerating innovation and helping healthcare organizations become AI-first, patient-centered frontier firms with Dragon Copilot. So let's dive into the collaborative approach that's driving real impact in healthcare. So first and foremost, Microsoft creates an unmatched partner opportunity. According to IDC, for every $1 of revenue that Microsoft drives, we create over $8 of economic value for our software-led partners and almost $11 of value for our, the other way, $8 of economic value for our services-led partners and almost $11 for our software-led partners. And this really demonstrates a substantial growth and profitability potential for every partner in the room and beyond, for those that build on the Microsoft platform. So the survey also shows that over 80% of our partners believe that Microsoft AI will be a pivotal force in driving long-term revenue growth. And our commitment is to deliver the differentiated solutions and offerings that empower partners and all of you to thrive. So Microsoft is dedicated to being that tech company and the platform that our partners choose to bet on, providing the right tools, the right resources and support that you all need to really build that high-growth, profitable business in the evolving AI economy. So Microsoft AI creates the economic opportunity for software and services partners by empowering innovation and differentiation. Microsoft AI enables partners to build new applications or infuse AI into existing solutions, so helping you differentiate customer experiences and create unique intellectual property. Today, we serve over 650,000 clinicians globally with solutions like Dragon Copilot, and that's now integrated into Microsoft programs for our customers and for our partners, and that lays the foundation for innovating with responsible AI. Further, partners can deliver a wide range of AI services, from migrating data and workloads to modernizing apps and systems. AI-driven data management and analytics unify information from disparate sources and unlocks new value for customers. So Microsoft's AI innovation empowers partners and all of you to monetize your own IP and your professional services, supporting growth and profitability. So this enables software companies and services providers to leverage the Microsoft Cloud and AI and really create that differentiated product and solutions that'll help you stand out in the market. So let's talk about the scale of the opportunity in healthcare. Generative AI is not just a technology trend, it's a transformational force, and it's exciting. According to McKinsey, generative AI can help healthcare sector realize up to $1 trillion in value by streamlining operations, by improving patient outcomes, and driving innovation at every layer. So the potential is clear, but realizing that requires collaboration, it requires innovation, and it requires a commitment to responsible AI. And Dragon Copilot is at the tip of the spear for unlocking the generative AI value in healthcare, where innovation meets impact at the point of care. So from this foundation, we unlock the trillion-dollar opportunity ahead for partners. And here's what our Dragon Copilot partners are already saying. Partners like Cognizant are developing innovative Dragon Copilot offers that help their healthcare provider customers enhance operational efficiency and reduce clinician burnout. Other partners like Chipsoft are bringing our AI platform together with HIX, which is their leading EMR solution, to help healthcare professionals in the Netherlands be more efficient and effective. And there's just so much more opportunity that we have with partners. So we offer multiple pathways to engage and succeed with Dragon Copilot. So by becoming an authorized cloud solution provider or a clinical apps embed partner, your organization can access new markets and deliver innovative solutions to healthcare customers. Or partners are empowered to create software and solutions and service offerings tailored to Dragon Copilot customers. This opens up an opportunity to address specific clinical apps and operational needs, driving the value for both customers and for partners. So by leveraging Microsoft's partner programs in your go-to-market, leveraging the resources, you can accelerate your growth, expand your reach, and differentiate yourselves in the healthcare ecosystem. So collaboration with Microsoft ensures access to all the latest tools, support, and incentives for your success. And based on a lot of conversations that I've been having with our partners in the Dragon Copilot ecosystem, we're already seeing a lot of innovative launches and offers that are available today. So I just pulled up a few from conversations that I've had that are very, very exciting. Partners are expanding innovation by building connectors. And so they're taking their solutions and embedding Dragon Copilot into their solutions, like EMRs, like nursing platforms and telehealth platforms. We're also seeing them build connectors where they're driving that integration and leveraging either the clinical note or the transcript or that voice package from Dragon Copilot and leveraging that integrated into their solutions. And we're seeing that around revenue lifecycle management, clinical decision support, behavioral health systems. Just great innovation that we're seeing across the clinical workflow. And partners are also building customer-specific solutions and integrations with platforms like Microsoft Fabric. And they're driving workflow transformation and modernization. And so Microsoft AI and Dragon Copilot empower partners to create that differentiated software and deliver a wide range of services, from clinical workflow change management to migration. It could be a migration of an EHR system, other solutions, to custom extensions for clinical workflow. So this is enabling partners to capture new value, to monetize their expertise, all of your expertise, and really thrive in the digital economy. And the opportunity doesn't stop there. Case mentioned that we made some great announcements at the recent health conference about a month ago. So there's even more room for partners to build software that meets the evolving needs of Dragon Copilot customers across the healthcare landscape. So we're expanding Dragon Copilot to support an open ecosystem, enabling developers to build specialized AI solutions that enhance the clinical intelligence and streamline workflows at the point of care. So by enabling partner AI extensibility, Microsoft opens up Dragon Copilot for developers to integrate advanced tools into clinical workflow, accelerating AI adoption and improving patient care by reducing administrative tasks. So with these really exciting announcements, we're moving Dragon Copilot from being a point solution for speech and ambient to being a connected clinical platform. It's a really exciting opportunity to connect the different solutions that are available that could plug into Dragon Copilot. And a lot of the partners, or I'll say some of the partners that you see on the slide here today, they're here at Ignite, and they have sessions as well. So if you want to go see some of the great examples of how other ISVs and software development companies are connecting that clinical workflow, I welcome you to check out some of their sessions this week at Ignite. So with all that opportunity, we're also making a lot of investments. And the investments in our partner program, the Microsoft AI and Cloud Partner Program, to help you drive success. So we're investing in targeted skilling and enablement for Dragon Copilot. That's come in the form of in-person boot camps, virtual boot camps, on-demand resources, all to help you build the expertise and drive adoption with our customers. We have an upcoming clinical app specialization that allows partners to showcase your technical expertise in Dragon Copilot, while our updated go-to-market resources will enable you to help accelerate kind of regional campaigns and customer engagement. So if you're interested in that clinical app specialization, there's a session in about an hour that I'll also be doing down in the hub, and I encourage you to join us there to learn more about that specialization. And we've also launched CSP incentives. So for every Dragon Copilot transaction and sale, we're rewarding partners for driving adoption and innovation. So that's a really exciting announcement that happened earlier this year. These initiatives are designed to help partners grow, to differentiate, and to succeed in the evolving healthcare ecosystem. And so we're continuing to invest in our partner program and in the tools and resources that you all need to drive success with Dragon Copilot. So the Microsoft AI and Cloud Partner Program, we also offer benefits packages. We've now integrated Dragon Copilot into that, so we're including special pricing for partners for Dragon Copilot, free Azure credits, personalized technical pre-sale support. These bundled offers are designed to help our partners save money and innovate faster and increase time to market. Right? There are 3 tiers of packages around launch, core, and expanded. And they offer kind of increasingly robust portfolios of benefits that will meet you where you are in your development and growth. So I encourage you to learn more about these offers. You can go to our booth. You can click on the QR code and learn more. And there's even a couple of offers that we're making available just here at Ignite. So I encourage you to learn a little bit more about that, either by finding someone in the booth or clicking on the QR code. So here we've brought together some additional resources. Everyone will have access to these presentations online when sessions are posted. So you'll see helpful links around the partner program, around Dragon Copilot, around our healthcare AI use cases. Of course, you can always reach out to your partner development manager if you're working with a PDM, but all great resources. And you can see there's some labs that are available this week as well. So I encourage you to leverage these for your own acceleration as well. We've got some easy to use QR code links here for our partner program, again, for ISV success and for Marketplace. So a great place to go learn additional information. And with that, we do have a little bit of buffer time that we can take Q&A. I think we've got some runners with the mics because we've got people listening in online. So if you have a question, I encourage you to raise your hand. We'll bring a mic over to you so everyone online can hear as well.
My question is more around, like, is Microsoft thinking through reinventing the entire process of how healthcare can or should be delivered into the future? Like we talk about, partners, messing around, or not messing around, but changing processes, existing processes and stuff like that using AI. But is there something from Microsoft in terms of what they see the future of healthcare end to end?
Yeah, so, well, we're not a healthcare provider, but if you look at the AI use case library, those are kind of validated AI use cases and starting points by vertical, which we validated with our analysts, with internal experts and customers. And that is probably the best starting point for customers. Does that make sense? So the link, Feliz showed the link earlier, the AI use case link, that's probably the best starting point. It's available publicly, so we publish it. Of course, we continue to do research on all kind of, healthcare is a vast domain. We're just getting started, as I said earlier, in drugs discovery. How can we help, accelerate new drugs and therapy discovery, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a continued moving space, but I think from a mainstream use cases where we know it's possible, we spend a lot of time. Like, for example, that's why we publish these dedicated AI models for radiology, because we know large language models are hopefully not trained on your medical imaging. Because we have PowerShare, which is an image sharing network, we work with providers, et cetera, to train models, have specialized models, and we know suddenly Gen AI in radiology, which has historically always been probably the #1 area where AI, they call it pixel AI, has been applied. Now we see kind of a next opportunity for Gen AI to really advance the care in the diagnostic space. So it's continuous with a dedicated Microsoft research team, dedicated engineering teams to continue to push the boundaries. But I think as a partner and customer perspective, I would start with the library that we publish. Good question.
Any other questions?
To make for health systems to be able to make progress in the agentic AI space, they need to vastly improve their data architectures, and most of them are way behind the curve there. Curious how you're just partnering across Microsoft from the data analytics side of things that enables agentic AI and just AI advancement in the future.
Yeah, good question. I do think because healthcare has so much different disparate data sources. 80% of the provider data are images. And images itself, there's so much data value unlocked. That's why I said, hey, Gen AI allows us to, an agentic AI, and that's what we've done with Stanford, is putting agent in front of an imaging library. We've put investments in Fabric. Sorry, the lights, it's hard to see.
Yeah.
So, we've put investments in Fabric, so Fabric can safely handle healthcare data. You want to anonymize patient data before you reason AI or those type of things. So you will see us making continuous investments in the core platform capabilities, both on the Gen AI side in Foundry, like publishing, as I said, these specialized models. We also release an open source tool so you can do some benchmarking on healthcare specific AI models, so the healthcare developer or the AI developer, helping them to accelerate. Looking at Fabric and making sure that becomes kind of a gathering point for AI, the starting point for AI. Like I said, being able to anonymize, for example, the patient data in order to do AI. So it's a constant, and the good thing is, if you compare us versus other cloud providers, because we have our first-party applications like Dragon Copilot, we also know where to improve the stack. Does that make sense? So yes, Microsoft is a platform company, but I can tell you, I've been at this company way too long. I remember that the purpose of Halo was to make the Xbox better. And the purpose of Dynamics is partly also to make SQL Server a better relational database. So our first-party investments in AI and a dedicated Copilot in healthcare, making sure that we know what it takes to create safe AI and AI, agentic AI and generative AI in healthcare. So that's because we're a platform company, it's always the intersection between those things. Does that make sense?
If there's one other thing I could add there too, like obviously modernizing the data estate is one of the most fundamental steps healthcare providers and healthcare customers can make before they make the big investment around Gen AI. And that is an opportunity for everyone in this room, for our SIs and services partners. So we also look to you to help our customers modernize, right? So I hope that you guys are having those direct conversations as well, because we'll look to you for the best practices. We'll obviously come with some too, but that creates the opportunity as well.
Yeah, and I can tell you, there's only a few Stanfords in this world, meaning they have the IT capability to do this. There are a vast amount of provider systems that don't, and they need your help. So there's a lot of there. And even starting with, I talked a bit about inventory space and security, just the baseline security footprint. internationally is massive because for hackers, provider systems they have a hard time keeping up the systems, but there's a vast trove of PII-centric data. Hackers love that. So they're a key target. If you look at healthcare systems worldwide, they're in the top 3-4 industries on vulnerabilities. And it starts even with just getting to the cloud, getting to the basic security footprint up in order. And there's a backlog in investments just there.
There's one, yep.
So I'm just curious, you've talked about image analysis and things like that, and that technology's kind of been around for a little while now, but what are you guys doing with regards to predictive analytics to predict outcomes, what patient is most likely to X? Because those are the types of questions that I've been asked from healthcare providers. Can we predict sepsis? Can we predict readmittance? How do we predict those because they can amount to meaningful cost savings?
Yeah, I would say the imaging AI, the Gen AI in imaging has actually not been around that long. AI in imaging, yes, pixel AI, but Gen AI in imaging, because they have to get FDA approved. Does that make sense? So it's not there's a two-step there. I think, we're careful on the predictive side. I mean, we provide the core platforms and technologies, but we expect our partners, and certainly our SDC and ISV partners, to take that next step in predictive, because you get into the regulatory space as well quickly. So that's why we want to make sure we do the right plumbing underneath, so we enable our customers and partners to take that last step. Does that make sense? Because if you look at, there was a great example here, Canary Speech is an ISV, they're also on our booth. They can predict, based on your voice footprint, if somebody has depression. Just in a conversation, it's super hard to, just in having a conversation. They have amazing AI models that can do that, and they take that to the last mile. But they're connecting it to Dragon Copilot because they want access to that point of care, the conversation between the physician and patient, which happens in Dragon. And they augment it with our technologies and provide that last mile AI. Does that make sense? So we want to be careful, and we understand what our role is at Microsoft versus what the partners and the customer role is, because you get into a space that you get into the regulated space that we need to be thoughtful of.
Yep, I think we have time for one more question.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So we have a customer where basically it's about 600 plus nurses. They go to patients every day, and they would basically administer medication. And yes, we are planning to use Copilot, Dragon Copilot. But one of the thing is how can we get data out from it and find adverse effects? If somebody has taken basically Solaris or a certain medication and they have an adverse effect, is this something partners will help building, extensions, or is something?
Yeah, but we like even in the nursing side, all the data will be available also in Fabric and through our platform, and we expect partners also in the nursing side to extend that and be part of kind of our marketplace, so it will be available for Dragon Copilot, because these use cases are different by geo. Not just use case in nursing itself, but how it operates in the US versus my home country, the Netherlands, will be different. So there's no way we can predict all that. We want to make sure we put the right plumbing and integrate things like synchronous and asynchronous access to these APIs and have the information available in data stores like Fabric.
Correct. And within this, just imagine, the clinical trials are happening, and you have these adverse effects. And this customer, they actually sells this data back to pharma, and they currently spend ages. It takes too much time.
Yeah.
And with this AI, I think it's a very big innovative idea.
Yeah, there's the interesting thing on healthcare, more than any other industries, the verticals in healthcare are connected. We see payers actually providing provider services. Through clinical trial, pharma companies need access to the patient data. Where in most other industries, these verticals are all kind of insurance is separate from core critical banking. In healthcare, all these verticals are connected. So the access to data and having AI and agentic AI to actually cross organizational boundaries, there is a business model aspect to it as well, because these provider systems are looking for net new revenue streams. And guess where the money sits? In pharma. So there is an exchange of a monetary exchange somewhere between those things. But those are the new processes and business practice that we see arise, actually kind of breaking some of the boundaries between these verticals.
And anytime there's a data connection between the verticals or between systems, it's going to create partner opportunity. So that's what's really exciting too in healthcare, is the tremendous partner opportunity. We are about to be cut off in 3 seconds. So I think that's going to help bring us to a close. We're here for a couple more minutes if anyone wants to get us one-on-one. Thank you all for coming.